I played every big AutoBattler to find out which one is the absolute best. From how easy it is to get started, how hard to master, some of the upsides and downsides, the likelihood of you punching a hole in your wall from frustration, I am looking at it all. What is an AutoBattler? I'm not gonna read this entire Wikipedia article. It's just a team you assemble and upgrade over time that goes into battle against others. And you just have to hands off, watch it, and enjoy the show. I won't keep you waiting. The first one is Super Auto Pets. When I first saw this game, it reminded me of Freddy Fish, Put, basically a kid's game. But once I gave it a shot, I got incredibly addicted. Right out of the gate, this was really easy and simple to get into. Very straightforward mechanics, so a pretty low barrier of entry. By now, I have almost 20 hours in the game, and it still feels like I have a lot of strategies to learn, but it doesn't seem that insanely hard to get to 10 wins. So, compared to the other strategy games, it is probably way less competitive, but as a more casual AutoBattler, this just hits all of the boxes. It is free to play, you have infinite time during your turns, some decisions are automated like leveling. This has just been the perfect game for me when I just want to have some fun and throw a cool board together. I mean, just look at my penguin comp. It's beautiful. How beautiful. I think I would make some great clickbait videos for this game. I won with triple penguin? I think I'm just gonna roll. Wait, what the fuck? I found double chocolate penguin? Now for Hearthstone Battlegrounds. I have an ungodly amount of hours in this game. It's kind of embarrassing. And even at this point, I feel like I still have optimizations to make. The skill floor is fairly low. It's a free mode within Hearthstone that is very accessible and perfect for any casual gamers. But I do feel like there are a lot of elements to learn and to master. Interestingly enough, there's not even a casual mode. Every game you play will be ranked. There are regional leaderboards and even official esports. Battlegrounds is just pure strategy mixed with some good old RNG, of course. Fuck, it hits the side again! Just kill me, dude. If you're just getting into the genre of AutoBattlers, this game just seems to have it all and is nicely in the middle of the pack. Not the most casual, the most competitive, the most original, but just good, enjoyable, and more addictive than crack cocaine. I also just really like all of the animations in this game. Moving on to Teamfight Tactics, which is arguably the biggest AutoBattler right now, and for a very good reason. It's been a while since I played it, but my god, once I tried it again, I remember why I once got hooked. There are so many things to learn and explore. Every game just feels so fresh and rewarding when you actually play well. How I got here is this pure improvisation, I guess. I just got some snipers, so that's it, and I just tried and build some items around it. It definitely felt like the AutoBattler where skill matters the most. Oh my god, what's happening? What's happening? I'm getting perma-stunned. But that also means that the barrier of entry is pretty high. It's like, you know how to drive a car. The basics are pretty simple. But then you're just thrown into the cockpit of a plane and expected to fly the damn thing. There's all these item combinations that I still struggle with. They also come out with frequent updates and completely new sets, which is amazing for any diehard gamers, keeping it fresh and fun while the meta shifts. But it's what actually made me quit a couple years ago because I just didn't have the time to keep up with the pace. So if you're serious about your AutoBattler hobby, I think TFT is probably the best one to go with. However, if you're more casual, I wouldn't recommend it. One interesting article I read mentioned that you can get godlike gamer skills if you just subscribe to the It's Been 321 YouTube channel. I mean, that's worth testing out, right? Okay, now we're diving into Storybook Brawl. This is a game that plays a lot like Hearthstone Battlegrounds and Super Auto Pets. It's more about princess, fairies, buff buffs. Dude, I love buff buffs already. But I was kind of unimpressed. The animations were pretty minimal, like when I bought a unit I had to double check if I actually bought it or not. They have a couple interesting mechanics like support cards in the back row, treasures, but then compared to TFT, it's again pretty simplistic. Which is a good thing if you're new to the genre. It's a pretty low barrier of entry and there's a decent amount of depth to it. There's a ranking system and they're hosting tournaments. I just feel like it's mainly preference of style. Whether you like this more or Battlegrounds or Super Auto Pets, it's just not really my style. But it's also completely free, so if you're on the fence, just give it a go and destroy those tutorial bots. Just like how I think I accidentally found a sick interaction where I ate my entire board and got multiple triples. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on either. we have arrived at Dota Underlords, which is kind of a revamp of the OG Dota Autochess that spawned this entire genre of auto-battlers. I remember downloading Dota just to play Autochess and it was super addicting. And then we have Underlords, which is pretty similar to Teamfight Tactics. The gameplay feels relatively the same, but it is a little bit more simplified with, for example, the item system. And just like TFT, it was pretty hard to get into as a new player. But also the skill ceiling seemed a little lower because of some elements being a bit simpler, making it sit in a pretty weird spot where it is a game that is hard to get started with, but with less things to learn and explore when you improve. To be fair, I only played the game for about 8 hours, but it was hard for me to connect with it. Maybe because I'm less familiar with the Dota universe. So in the end, I think it's a great game. It's also free, but it will once again come down to personal preference. I have to admit that this game does have some of the prettiest animations, and it was a pleasure to just admire the battles, even though I lost most of them. These were all of the big auto-battlers that are pretty similar in style, but I wanted to see if I could find some hidden gems or auto-battlers that have a very unique take and concept. And yep, I found some really cool ones. Keep in mind that all of these do have a price tag attached. The first one is a game that I randomly discovered in the Steam store and instantly caught my attention. Gladiabots. Like gladiators, but with robots. You'll notice that the style is completely different, but also the approach. In most auto-battlers, you upgrade your team over time using resources like gold, but in Gladiabots, your team upgrades the more skilled you get in the game and experience you gather by just playing a lot. So technically, you could get the most broken team right from the start, which is pretty sick. You basically just have robots, 4 different kinds, and you can completely define what they do. It's basically like programming, trying to solve logic puzzles. There's even different game modes like elimination, domination, and collection, so you will have to figure out a way to optimize your bots against enemies of increasing difficulty in each of those modes. The campaign is great, there's also multiplayer and tournaments you can join, but I've seen a bunch of insanely complicated strategies and theories. You gotta be pretty Einstein-brained for this stuff. The barrier of entry was pretty high. I got stuck on one of the first levels for... well, you guys don't need to know the exact length. Okay, this might be it, this might be it. So there... wait, I lost instantly? I'm stuck on level 1. I don't understand. I wonder if this is gonna work. This is how I envision it in my head. Yo, I think it's gonna work. No, I lost. Oh no, I won! But once I figured it out, it is really fun to see your little robots just go into battle on their own. If you like a bit of a challenge, it has a pretty high skill ceiling, but if you don't like breaking your head too much... Whoa, 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 buddy, what are you doing? This probably won't be your cup of tea. Despot's game, or Despot's
Despots
is another very original take on an auto-battler, and actually the one that I was most excited for to try out. You once again assemble a team and go into combat against other monsters or other players in the multiplayer. But what sets this game apart is once again how you progress. It's mixed with a roguelike adventure, dungeon, crawler, whatever. It reminded me of Binding of Isaac. You run around in a dungeon, exploring rooms, doing objectives, fighting monsters. It is really fun. Wait, what? Did he just eat one of my tanks? What? And for the auto-battler part, you just have to find these shops where you can recruit more guys, give them weapons from different classes, add healers or mages or eggheads. These can synergize together for more powerful combos. You also have a skill tree, which is called mutations in the game. Resources like money and food. It was a little bit overwhelming during my first run, but I would say that it's not too hard to get into. How hard is it to master? I'm not really sure. I thought I was doing well and then got completely comboed in multiplayer, so there's definitely a lot for me to learn still. This game also has a ranking system. Would Despot's game be for you? If you're more into exploration and casual gameplay, sure. It feels way less tryhardy and competitive than some of the others. Next up is Godsbane, which just got released. At first, it kinda looked like most other auto-battlers, but it has some really cool twists to it. You can move your units around a little bit every turn, making positioning a bit more strategic. You can also choose the units you want to take into battle, like building a deck. One thing I didn't enjoy though is that you need to unlock most of these heroes and items. Apparently it doesn't take too long, but the gacha aspect of the game for me was a bit of a turn-off. The barrier of entry is alright, I understood most of the mechanics pretty quickly, and I do think there's a fair amount of depth to the game, but not as much compared to the others. I also gotta say that I love the main menu, the visuals. You can even play whack-a-mole while you are in queue, but as an auto-battler, Godsbane feels like the kind of niche that you're either really into or, like me, just isn't really your style. Teamfight Manager is a game I bought because I like the concept a lot. It's an auto-battler within an auto-battler. Kind of. You have to run an esports organization, training your team, recruiting, upgrading your studio, looking at strategies, get sponsorships, and now you play in tournaments. There's even patch notes of this game within the game. I know, pretty next level. Now in the tournaments, you set up a composition, your players, and you just watch them fight for 1 minute, trying to get the most eliminations. Now this did sound really cool until I just wanted to set my computer on fire. If you really enjoy these analytical text and number-based games, this will be perfect for you. But the lack of progress, animations, and just overall exciting things you could do made it so hard for me to stay focused. It went pretty slow, so I quit before I even got to see the 4v4 fights. If you do end up picking up this game though, just use this Knight Healer combo that I found, because then nothing just dies. It's impossible for me to play all of the auto-battlers out there. I mean, technically it is possible, but I do want to mention 2 more that I had written down on my list. Now, if you do still have some cool auto-battlers in mind that I missed, leave it down below in the comments. First one being Hero's Hour. This is technically an auto-battler, but I feel like the majority of the game is spent exploring territory, building up your army and your kingdom. So if you're more into the fantasy RPG approach, this might be right up your alley. The second one was Runeverse Seabrawls, which, just like Hearthstone, is a card-based auto-battler. It looks kind of the same, but just 3D pirate stuff. I'm not a big fan of the animations or just the vibe in general, but hey, maybe you will enjoy this. So, which game is the best auto-battler? Before I share that with you, I hope this video helped you decide for yourself which one you prefer most, because I do think this is a very personal thing. Wait, there's 2 people stuck. Wait, what? Did I break the game already in my first playthrough? What the fuck? Whether you're more casual, more into grinding, more adventurous or analytical, there have been so many cool and different takes on the genre. Anyway, the best auto-battler of 2022, hands down, is World of Warcraft 3.